of our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says one must rely on the divine and yet do some enabling sadhana. The divine gives the fruit not by the measure of the sadhana but by the measure of the soul's sincerity and its aspiration. With our love and blessings, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Words of our Divine Mother, taken from the collective works of our Divine Mother, Volume 4, Question and Answers, page 207, date 14th March 1951. One sadhak says, Sweet Mother, you said, when you come to the divine, you must abandon all mental conceptions. But instead of doing that, you throw your conceptions upon the divine and want the divine to obey them. The only true attitude for a yogi is to be plastic and ready to obey the divine command, whatever it may be. This is from the Question and Answers of 1929, dated 19th May. And then the sadhak says, Sweet Mother, what is plasticity? For this, our Divine Mother says, that which can easily change its form is plastic. That which can easily change its form is plastic. Figuratively, it is suppleness, a capacity of adaptation to circumstances and necessities. When I ask you to be plastic, says our Divine Mother, when I ask you to be plastic in relation to the divine, I mean not to resist the divine with the rigidity of preconceived ideas and fixed principles. I knew a man who declared, I was wholly consecrated to the divine. I am ready to do whatever he tells me to do. But I am not at all worried, for I know he would never tell me to kill anybody. I answered, How do you know that? He was indignant. This is want of plasticity. For this the sadhak says, Sweet Mother, if one is plastic in all circumstances, isn't it a weakness? For this our Divine Mother says, But you are not asked to be plastic to the will of others. Nobody asks you to be plastic in relation to others. You are asked to be plastic to the divine will, which is not quite the same thing. And that requires a great strength, because the very first thing that will happen to you is to be exposed to the will of almost everyone around you. If you have a family, you will see the attitude of the family. The more plastic you are to the divine will, the more opposition you will meet from the will of others who are not accustomed to be in contact with that will. If everybody expressed the divine will, there would be no conflict any longer, anywhere. All would be in harmony. That is what one tries to do, but it is not very easy, says our Divine Mother. For this the sadhak says, Sweet Mother, but it is difficult to know the divine will, isn't it? For this our Divine Mother says, there are 4 conditions for knowing the divine's will. The first essential condition is an absolute sincerity. Second, to overcome desires and preferences. Third, to silence the mind and listen. Fourth, to obey immediately when you receive the order. Our Divine Mother says, if you persist, you will perceive the divine will more and more clearly. But even before you know what it is, you can make an offering of your own will. and you will see that all circumstances will be so arranged so as to make you do the right thing. But you must not be like that person I knew who used to say, I always see the divine will in others. That can land you anywhere. There is nothing more dangerous. For if you think you see the divine will in others, you are sure to do their will and not the divine's will. There too, we can say that not one among many human beings acts in accordance with the divine will. Next topic taken from page 247, dated 26th March 1951. Question, sweet mother, at every moment one must know how to lose in order to gain all. What does this mean? For this, our Divine Mother says, when we enter upon the path of integral yoga, why do our dear ones leave us? One loses all worldly possessions. The most important thing is, which is valuable, the divine consciousness. And to gain this, one must know how to lose all the goods of this world, to let go of all one's possessions, all desires, all attachments, all satisfactions. One must know how to lose all this if one wants to get the divine consciousness. It is a little paradoxical for the mind. Question, sweet mother, you have said after finishing their development, the psychic beings could go to other worlds, yet the psychic being belongs exclusively to the earth, doesn't it? For this, our Divine Mother says, but the psychic being is not material, it is psychic. It is not bound to the material world. As soon as it stops living in a body, it goes away to the psychic world, which is far from being a material world, says our Divine Mother. One sadhak asks or quotes the words of our Divine Mother taken from the question and answers of 1929, dated 16th June, and says, you have said, sweet mother, by yoga, the inner transformation that is in slow, constant process in the creation is rendered more intense and rapid. But the pace of the outer transformation remains almost the same as in the ordinary life. As a result, the disharmony between the inner and the outer being in one who is doing the integral yoga tends to be all the greater unless precautions are taken. What are these precautions, sweet mother? For this, our Divine Mother says that depends upon the people. Each case is different. Individual precautions would be different according to the individual reactions, difficulties, resistances. For each one, there is a program to follow which is good only for him. There is no general rule. These things cannot be disturbed as one distributed. These things cannot be distributed as one distributes sweets. If someone asks me what should I do, well, that yes. Next topic taken from the collective works of our Divine Mother, Question and Answers, Volume 6, page 32, date 17th Feb. Question: how can depressions be controlled, Sweet Mother? For this, our Divine Mother says, oh, there is a very simple way. Depression occurs generally in the vital, and one is overpowered by depression only when one keeps the consciousness in the vital, when one remains there. The only thing to do is to get out of the vital and enter a deeper consciousness. Our Divine Mother says, even the higher mind, the luminous, the higher mind, the most lofty thoughts have the power to drive away depression. Even when one reaches just the highest domain of thought, usually the depression disappears. But in any case, if one seeks shelter in the psychic, if one seeks shelter in the psychic, then there is no longer any room for depression. Our Divine Mother says, depression comes from two causes, either from a want of a vital satisfaction or from a considerable nervous fatigue in the body. Depression arising from the physical fatigue is set right fairly easily. One has to but take some rest. One goes to bed and sleeps until one feels well again, or else one rests, dreams, lies down. The want of vital satisfaction is pretty easily produced, and usually one must face it with one's reasons, must ferret out the cause of the depression, what has brought about the lack of satisfaction in the vital. And then one looks at it straight in the face, asks oneself whether that indeed has anything to do with one's inner aspiration, or whether it is quite simply an ordinary moment. Generally, one discovers that it has nothing to do with the inner aspiration, and one can quite easily overcome it, resume one's normal movement. If that does not suffice, then one must go deeper and deeper until one touches the psychic reality. Then one has only to put the psychic reality in contact with the moment of depression, and instantaneously it will vanish into thin air. As for fighting in the vital domain itself, well, some people are good fighters and love to struggle with their vital, but to tell you the truth that it is much more difficult, says our Divine Mother. Next topic taken from the question and answers of our Divine Mother from the collective works, Volume 7, page 32, date 26 Jan 1955. Question: Sweet Mother, you said, let nothing and nobody come between you and the Mother's force. Who is this person? For this, our Divine Mother says, this person? Anybody at all who, there are all kinds of ways of letting someone come between you and the divine force. First of all, it is to attach a very great importance to your relation with someone. It is to listen to the advice given to you by someone who is not qualified. It is to want to please anybody at all for any reason whatsoever. People do that constantly, don't they? Probably what is written here is about certain things and importance given to certain things, advices, remarks, or opinions. Who was attaching importance to these things? Whoever is trying to give more importance to other things than the Divine Mother. That is when Sri Aurobindo told him, "Let nobody come between you and the Divine, whoever it may be, no matter what, even if it is a special person. It may even be one of us very special person, but please do not let anybody come between you and the Divine," says our Divine Mother. Next topic taken from the collective works of our Divine Mother, Volume 9, question and answers from date 2nd Jan 1957, page 21. Question: Sweet Mother, how can one learn of a pure delight? For this, our Divine Mother says, first of all, to begin with, one must, through an attentive observation, grow aware that desires and satisfaction of desires gives you only a vague, uncertain pleasure, mixed, fugitive, and altogether unsatisfactory. That is usually the starting point. Then, if one is a reasonable being, one must learn to discern what is desire and refrain from doing anything that may satisfy one's desires. One must reject them, says our Divine Mother, without trying to satisfy them. And so the first result is exactly one of the first observations. There is infinitely greater delight in conquering and eliminating a desire than in satisfying it. Every sincere and steadfast seeker will realize after some time, sooner or later, at times very soon, that this is an absolute truth, that the delight felt in overcoming a desire is incomparably higher than the small pleasure, so fleeting and mixed, which may be found in the satisfaction of his desire. That is the second step. Our Divine Mother says, naturally, with this continuous discipline, in a very short time, the desires will keep their distance and will no longer bother you. So you will be free to enter a little more deeply into your being and open yourself in an aspiration to the giver of delight, the divine element, the divine grace. And if this is done with a sincere self giving, something that gives itself, offers itself, and expects nothing in exchange for its offering, one will feel that kind of sweet warmth, comfortable, intimate, radiant, which fills the heart and is the herald of delight. After this, the path is easy, says our Divine Mother.